So
That's funny. You have like a countdown, right? So I'm taking a little vacation. My wife and I haven't really had any vacations over the past couple of years or so, and we're doing a cruise. And I got a little thing on my phone here that counts down the days, and you got a countdown for the wedding day.
yep.
So yeah, good for you. Good
Thanks.
for you.
Good to
Very
say.
valid things that you guys are bringing up. I don't know if it was necessary or if you guys had planned on this or not, but so many people out there plan for a wedding or plan for a vacation. They spend more time doing that than they do planning for their retirement. Now, of course, when
Absolutely.
it comes to a wedding and the marriage, that's obviously the intention for it to go to the distance. When it comes to vacations, we're talking, maybe a 2-week vacation at the most, but they spend months upon months. But retirement being the ultimate vacation, how much time have you actually spent planning that? That's something not just want you to get thinking about, but start putting that plan in action. And again, the number to reach out to the guys here is 419-794-3030 or the website arhq.com. And just like with the day of the wedding and just like with vacations, there's going to be hiccups along the way, like the Fed, in the case of retirement, raising interest rates yet again, this time only by 1/4 of a point. And while they're hoping to avoid a recession, there was a new survey that found nearly 70% of investors believe there's actually still going to be one this year. And most of them are preparing by cutting their personal spending and increasing their savings. On the other side, others are adjusting their financial plans. So is it time for people to be doing that, or is this still a stay the course sort of situation?
Wow, well, Chris, that's a great point. We all know that a recession is a period of economic decline. That's where a significant reduction in economic activity, employment rates, and a decrease in consumer spending happens, right? Well, we really can't predict when there's going to be, a recession, and you can't predict what the future is going to hold for us. But Chaz, what do you have to say about advice or something that you give clients when they come in when it looks like we're headed for a recession in 2023? What kind of advice do you reach out to these people with?
Yeah. Well, I'll start with Chris. I like that term that you said, going the distance. I mean, we want the marriage to go the distance. And I
Yes.
think we want your retirement to go the distance too. So I'm gonna coin that. I'll pay you 1/4 every time I use it now.
All right.
But so the recession, I think it's important to know what we define a recession as. Scott is correct. It definitely represents a period of time when there's just a lot of slack in the economy and people are out of work. People typically spend less. But technically, a recession is defined as 2 consecutive negative quarters of gross GDP. So I think some folks might even say that we're in a recession. But a couple big factors that I think are contributing to the risk of recession that's got everybody on edge. And one of them for sure is the risk of future rising interest rates. Last week, we were all pretty much tuned to the TV here in the office, just waiting to see what Fed Chair Jerome Powell was going to say, whether or not they were going to take interest rates up again, or if they were going to pause, or maybe even reverse course and take interest rates back down again because of what we saw in the financial sector, all the bank trials and tribulations. And so that is a significant risk. I mean, Jerome Powell made no bones about the fact that, yes, we see and we recognize the issues in the banking sector, but inflation is still our primary mandate. We're still very concerned, and we think that inflation over the long term does more damage than financial crisis in the banking sector. So, he pretty much said we stand ready to help, but ultimately, if the banks fail or are having trouble, it's kind of their own fault, because they've been so risky and they've been over leveraged. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that in a later segment. But I think definitely interest rates is an issue. Also, we've been seeing the trade tensions between China and the United States starting to decline. They've withered away a little bit. And so China, global trade tensions and just policies and procedures between the two countries are deteriorating. So I think that's leading to a little bit of a risk of a recession, and that China is the world's global manufacturer. So we want to keep an eye out for that as well. And then also unemployment. So we've talked in previous segments about not having enough workers, restaurants, those industries. There's still a lot of unemployment out there. I know the numbers say that unemployment is at a historical low, but I think in some cases it's people are underemployed, and they only track really whether you have a job or not. But I know a lot of folks are going back to work, trying to get jobs, but may be a little underemployed. So unemployment, rising interest rates, global trade tensions, I think are some things that are going to affect a recession.
Sure, Chaz, I think a lot of people, people like us that are in this business, and Chris, you're in the business, and the people like us kind of follow this. We need to stay, up on top of what's happening out there. But there's a lot of people that really don't understand that. How does China come into play with this, right? And, why would China have anything to do with our economy and our recession? And a lot of people don't really quite get that. So I hear what you're saying. What can we do? I mean, what advice do you give to people, and what can we do to actually maybe try to prevent a recession on a personal level?
Well, preventing a recession obviously is tough because a lot of the policies are coming down from the top. And
Sure.
the Fed has to make some decisions again about whether or not they're going to continue to raise interest rates, they're going to pause or stall, and maybe just wait until the economy's on a little bit more stable footing. But for us, particularly as consumers, and I may even defer this one back to you, but there's a lot of things that we can do during a recession, and I think the first one that usually comes to mind is kind of tightening up the belt a little bit,
Sure.
spending less. And particularly with retirees, a lot of our listeners here, healthcare costs, I think, are one of the bigger expenses that someone's going to have. So, I'm going to kick it back to you, Scott, and say, what are some of the ways that people can actually reduce the cost of healthcare and medical services?
Well, yeah, that's a big thing to always, on the forefront of everybody's mind is how can I cut and reduce some of the costs that I'm spending in healthcare? When you enter into retirement, if you're 65 years or older, you've got, healthcare. You're going to have to pay a premium, a monthly premium for Part B all the time, right? But some of the things you can do is really make sure that you're comparing your prices for the medical services that you're paying for, right?
And that's what you do for our clients.
There's no question. And you also want to make sure that, whatever supplemental plans or advantage plans, whatever you choose is going to be the best option for you. I do a lot of these events, and some of the events that I did over the past couple of weeks had some people coming in and they said, well, I really like what you said, but I want to hear more about my plan because I dialed that 800 number that you see on TV and nobody really explained anything. So this is a way for people to come in and kind of get a review of their insurance. But here's some really key points. Try to stay healthy. Try to be proactive and try not to utilize your health benefits, right? If you've got a higher deductible plan, it doesn't necessarily have to be on Medicare, right? If you have a higher deductible plan, try to, adopt that healthy lifestyle. I know everybody wants to do that, but it's easier said than done, But, preventative services, utilize the preventative care and preventative services that these insurance plans have.
Like a wellness visit?
Like a wellness visit, yes. A lot of employers offer incentives for people to actually go and get their well checks and things like that. So staying on top of that, try to stay healthy. Stay, the old adage, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Well, that's
literally,
yeah. Take care of yourself and schedule your annual checkups, your well checks, and make sure that you're staying on top. Do the screenings. Make sure that there's nothing that's going to, blow you up your retirement plan. If you've got some unforeseen thing, if you can prevent those things from happening, then you're going to save a great deal of time and money when that time comes.
And hopefully avoid a lot of heartache down the line when you do find yourself maybe having to tighten those purse strings. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, as they say. And then not just in the medical, in the health care area, but also when it comes to the market. We can't control if and when a recession is going to happen. We can't control what the Fed is going to be doing with interest rates. And last year, Jerome Powell went pretty much on the record and said, market be damned. We're going to try to get inflation under control. And is he being successful? Are they being successful at that? Well, we still have yet to see. But if signs seem to be pointing to market downturn, what prevention are you putting in right now to avoid what could be coming down the line, if not this year, at some point over the course of your retirement? Well, speak with the team at America's Retirement Headquarters and figure out the steps that you need to take for your particular circumstances, because at the end of the day, that's what really matters. Your circumstances, your retirement. And here's the number you need to call, 419-794-3030. Once again, 419-794-3030, or you can go to the website, arhq.com. Actually, if you click on the events tab on the website, arhq.com, you can find a list of the events coming up, including another Medicare workshop that Scott's got coming up in Perrysburg. You can get more information, including how to go and reserve your seats. That is at arhq.com.